are back. Mike Pesce.
Ron
I
Lanzillotta.
feel like I'm losing a few LBs. I've been getting comments.
Have you been working out?
So the Peloton is like my fitness savior since this COVID thing. That's one thing that I actually, with COVID, it's like the one place that I still don't feel comfortable going is a gym.
Really?
Yeah, and it's funny, like I've had a gym incorporated in my life my whole life.
Mm-hmm.
I started going to XXL Gym back in Massapequa. Anyone who was born and raised in Massapequa and graduated high school between 1999 and 2010 knows exactly what XXL Gym is. What is it now? Patrizia's?
Yes.
Patrizia's. And that was my spot. That's where I lifted, exercised, worked out all throughout high school and then college. Went, to Hofstra, was at the Export over there, then came back to Massapequa, was at Export in Massapequa, and then up to Dix Hills. They opened up a 24-hour fitness, and then boom, shut down. And
You still pay for that?
no, I don't pay for that any longer. But that is 100% still like the one thing that I'm still like a little eerie about. I don't know.
I went to the gym once since COVID, maybe like 4 or 6 weeks ago.
First of all, I couldn't imagine working out with a mask.
No one does. Everyone just wears it around their chin. There's like a few idiots who actually wear it, but most people it's fake.
Yeah, I just couldn't imagine it. So I've gotten on that Peloton, and so I was a big nighttime workout guy.
Yeah.
Forever. I could never, ever, ever find it in me to wake up at 5:15, 5:30 in the morning and go right to exercising. I always felt like I was the Tin Man in The Wizard of Oz. Like I needed some oil to get going in the morning. And it's actually, I've found over the last, I'd say 30 days, I've been working out in the morning. I like it better. It's fucking torture though. It is fucking like it
sucks getting up.
It takes all the mental fortitude in the fucking world to walk up the stairs, put on your fucking Peloton shoes, and get on that goddamn bike.
It sucks.
But once you do it, 5 minutes in,
you feel great.
You're like, shit, thank God I did this.
This is just, I have no basis in fact here whatsoever, but I feel like most professionals who maintain some type of regular workout regimen, they do it in the morning. I think it's the only, I don't know how you can do it at night consistently.
Because I think once the kids come, that's when it gets to the point where you have to do it in the morning.
Right, because once you get home, you eat dinner, like you get home, it's just impossible. With the kids, by the time you work out, you're working out at what, 8, 9 o'clock?
Yeah, so, which isn't a problem for me, actually.
But then how'd you get up? Because once you work out, you can't go right to bed.
Yeah, I can. I could exercise and just go fucking lay down and go and I'm out. But for me, that wasn't the problem. The problem was getting home
and getting back out the door.
Putting my kids to sleep. That's the hard part. So at nighttime, I don't know what your regimen is with the kids. And I had no idea this existed before I had kids. But we have to, once the clock strikes 8 o'clock at night, get the kids and go to bed and lay in bed with them until they go to sleep.
Yeah.
So sometimes that takes a half hour to get your kid to go to bed.
Right.
So then by the time that half hour is up of you laying in the dark, scrolling through Instagram or Twitter or whatever and just like reading up on stuff, you're tired. And that's where I started having trouble. I started having trouble because I was laying down and then to get back up after almost wanting to go to sleep myself, and there's a few times I have gone to sleep in their bed, that's where I found a problem. But if I didn't have kids, it would be no problem for me to work out at night. In fact, I would probably prefer it. But now doing what I'm doing this way, I actually enjoy it.
It takes more mental fortitude to get home after a long day, and then you eat dinner, you relax, put your kids to bed, to go back out to the gym and just do it first thing in the morning.
Yeah, I don't know how you run in the morning. Like running, Not something I'd want to be doing.
It's
at
the same
6
thing as you
a.m.
hop on a bike. Same thing.
Yeah, I know it.
It sucks.
It feels like it would be harder to do, like to get over that hump and do it. It's the do it. What do you call that? Like, it's
Action threshold.
is that what that is? It's like, okay, I wake up, I want to do it. Like that, getting over that hump and actually fucking doing it. That, like, what do you call that? To the point where, like, that's that decision, that action that brings you here.
I don't know.
And it's a slight decision because you know how many people walk away from it, like right
The tipping
here?
point.
I think there was a statistic, I forget where I read this. More people turn around in their car on the way to the gym than actually go to the gym.
That can't be true.
Look it up. Let's look that shit up. I'm telling you, it's 100% true.
My trick with running, though, is so it sucks. You wake up, it sucks, but I have a cup of coffee, so I kind of build up to it. But once I get out the door and start running, it's fine. But the key is, because I would always run for like 15 minutes because I would just do laps around the blocks by my house.
Mm-hmm.
Now I run for a full half hour, and the way I do it is I run for 15 minutes in one direction away from my house. So I have no choice
But to keep
but to
going.
turn around and run. By the time I turn around, I have to run back. I have to run another 15 minutes.
Yeah, see, I just Googled that, and all I see is Corona and the gym. I'm so sick of it. So sick of it. But the Peloton, man, let me tell you what.
It's like a cult, the Peloton.
It's like a cult, but it's a cult for good reason. Man, oh man, do I sweat like a disgusting hog on that thing. It's doing something to me. I think it's trimming me down a bit.
I liked working out from home. Just doing push-ups, pull-ups, things like that, and running. But now I've been doing it consistently for a little while for the first time. Like I never did it consistently for months on end. It'd always be like a month or two here, take a break. But now it's been consistent. And now I actually find myself getting to the point where I'm missing the gym and the weights because you could push yourself harder in the gym because there's just more equipment, more weights.
I'm building a gym in my house. That's the last thing.
Where are you building it?
My garage.
Yeah, you need a home gym. I wish I had a little more space to build the gym.
See, you're going to walk out into my garage, and half the garage is going to be gym. The other half is going to be tools and all
You
the
should
bullshit.
get a little, they have them, they're not big, a little sauna. You can get like a one-seater.
Nah, I'm not a sauna guy. I'm
You
not a
will
sauna
be.
guy. I'm not a steam room guy.
Ice bath.
That I might get into. I'm definitely a jacuzzi guy, though. I was in that jacuzzi.
You got to get a pool in the spa and all that, but
Yeah, next house maybe. Next house maybe.
so what's going on real estate-wise?
Well, we've got a listing coming to market. I cannot disclose where it is. It's kind of hard to even talk about this without talking about it. It's the biggest home on the South Shore of Long Island,
Mm-hmm.
hands down. Biggest, most well-made home on the South Shore of Long Island. It looks like a Roman castle, like if you put it next to the Colosseum, it actually looks like it existed at the same time as the Colosseum. It's 18,000 square feet.
Just the first and second floor?
There is no basement. First and second floor is 18,000
9,000 square feet each.
9,000
That's
square foot.
insane.
It's not see, here's the thing, like it's hard to understand because no one's ever actually seen a home like this. It's hard to even conceptualize, to be completely honest with you, because every inch of the house was meticulously thought out and done. For instance, there are no gutters on the house.
Mm-hmm.
The whole house doesn't have gutters. The roof is flat, and there's gutters built into the home that drain out to the street or to a dry well somewhere on the property. The architecture and there's precast cement crown molding around the whole house that looks like it was from like ancient Rome. I mean, it's the only way I could explain it. It's, indoor, outdoor pool, movie theater.
How many bedrooms are there?
How many bedrooms are there? There's the master. The master alone is probably, I would say, 2,000 square feet.
Well, that's what I'm trying for 18,000 square feet. Like, what rooms do you even have to make up 18,000 square feet? Unless the rooms are like a 2,000 square foot master. Describe the master to me.
You walk in the master, and there's a beautiful hallway. Mm-hmm. And if you look up, there's like a dome ceiling, mm-hmm. and all of the molding, the intricate molding, it looks like you're in like the Sistine Chapel. Okay, I swear to God. And there's uplighting in the molding that lights the molding straight down. Then there's 2 closets, his and hers. His is not a tremendous closet. It's probably the size of like a normal walk-in closet. Her closet is huge. It has a center island, the whole thing. The bathroom is tremendous. All white, big, beautiful standalone tub, views of the water going right out into the Atlantic. And then the bedroom itself at the end of the hallway is one big, probably, probably 1,000 feet.
How big is it? Like a king size bed, or is it some huge custom
king size bed that looks small in the room?
Right. I feel like you need a custom bed. And
then you have 1, 2, 3, 4 other bedrooms on the top floor. So that's 4 bedrooms on the top floor. Each bedroom, which is the kids' rooms, has nicer bathrooms than any bathroom I've seen in a regular house.
And then do they all have walk-in closets too?
They all have walk-in closets.
And their own bathroom.
And there's a washer and dryer upstairs with something that I've actually never seen in a house before. It's actually interesting. It's called a dry rack.
Okay.
So they actually built like what would be a shower, and they ran a rod on the ceiling so you could hang garments and they could drip dry. Never saw that before. Does that make sense?
No, explain it again.
All right. You walk in, laundry room, washer, dryer, and then to the right, it's what looks like a shower but with no doors.
Okay.
And there's just a rod that runs along the ceiling. So if you have garments that need to be washed but not dried because you don't want them to shrink,
right,
you hang it. It's something you would do. It's
I
one
hang
of those
stuff
cool.
like that.
Yeah, but it's one of the, no, but it's like one of these things. Like if you could build your own house, I could see you doing it.
Yeah,
because it's interesting.
I just hang stuff like
and there's a drain. It looks like a shower. It's built like a shower. So you hang wet garments up,
right,
and you let them just dry.
They just dry. What else is on the second floor besides bedrooms?
The entry foyer. Like, all right, how would you describe it? Let's. I mean, you look at
because if it's 9,000 square feet on the second floor.
9,000 square feet on the second floor.
So besides the bedrooms, is there anything else on the second floor?
Well, it might be a little less than 9,000 square feet because the first floor has the pool. So this is the entry foyer.
Gotcha.
All right. So this looks like when you first walk in the house. I mean, how would you describe this? Tell me this doesn't look like, it looks like a gorgeous wedding hall.
Like a bridal staircase.
Now you see the attention to detail here with moldings. Okay.
Where do you find the builder?
So I asked that question. I'm like, where did you even find someone that knew like where to get these materials?
Build this quality of
right? I mean, it's absolutely incredible.
How long did it take to build?
I gotta ask him that. But like, all right, I'll give you for example. Most homes, when you walk in, they have behind the circular staircases, because it's 2 sweeping staircases that are coming at you, one from the left, one from the right. Usually they have some kind of support here, like a beam. He had an architect come in and draw up plans, and they had a custom staircase built that there's steel in these steps down to a certain point, so they didn't need the column in the back.
Right.
So it was open. In the railings, so these railings on this stairwell they have all these floral patterns on them. Those floral patterns are not stock. He actually had to bring these floral patterns, he and his wife, to the guy who fabricates this stuff.
They found like a painting of him or
and
something.
And they made custom floral designs in the wrought iron railings.
That's crazy.
It's just nuts. It's absolutely nuts. So the house is built on 278 helical pilings that are driven into the ground. And normally what a construction company would do is, as they were pouring, the slab that the house is going to sit on, they would pour it in sections. So that house is 10,000 square feet of slab.
Right.
Right. It would be, let's say, 10 different slabs, 1,000 square feet of slab. He purchased the company that poured the foundation and bought a special mechanism, tool, whatever it is, right? And he poured one huge 10,000-foot slab. So now the house doesn't sink at all in any part of the home. It's nuts. It's absolutely nuts. The indoor pool, I mean, it's a full-size pool, retractable, cover, kitchen.
What was his? Did you ever get into what his goal was when building it? Like why?
So it's
why he built such like a luxurious house?
I do know why he built it, and it's a crazy story. So he's obviously a successful guy. And without getting too personal, the long and short of it is, his father had a very strong influence on him, and he built it because his dad got sick, and his dad had mentioned to him, you should buy this property like years before and build a big beautiful mansion, and he did it.
Gotcha.
And his dad was around to see him build it. And I think his dad lived in the house for a little bit, but now his dad's no longer here. And he's like, well,
right.
I don't really want this anymore.
Right.
But it is the crown jewel home on Long Island. I don't think we'll ever walk into a more beautiful home than that house.
No, I don't
Tennis court in the backyard. You could put a 90-foot yacht. I mean...
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's absolutely nuts.
It's crazy.
Yep. So that was my weekend in real estate. How about yours?
My weekends, I just feel like this market we're in such a crazy market. It's so aggressive and fierce and competitive. There's just so little homes for sale compared to the amount of buyer demand that every deal is becoming complex because there's so many offers. A lot of times the buyers they know how competitive it is. They know that they're up against a lot of different offers. So you have buyers being extra aggressive or offering crazy terms, just wanting updates like very frequently. I mean, I have two deals. One's in Wantagh. We've had an accepted offer this is 2 full weeks now. And we're now on the third buyer, the third offer in line. The first offer put in all cash, but doesn't have all cash, but their mortgage broker gave them like a fake proof of funds because he thought that would help them secure the deal, which it did because we chose that deal. And then the broker said something crazy like, just put that in, we'll switch it to a mortgage, and if for any reason I can't get you the mortgage,
By the way, isn't that crazy that this is what people are resorting to now to get accepted offers?
And this is a broker.
They're saying licensed NMLS lender, hey, let's create a fake proof of funds. Let's doctor a document and send it to the listing agent of a fake proof of funds just so that we get an accepted offer. We're going to call an audible halfway through, but let's just get you in contract.
But he
kind of fucking nefarious.
He then said something crazy too. If you can't, if you lose your down payment, like I'll cover it or something. Like the whole crazy thing. And these are first time home buyers who are claiming they didn't know any better, which I honestly think they didn't. But I just think also a lot of first time home buyers nowadays, it's just like the generation are just very naive to like life, So whatever. So that happened. And the next buyers, whatever, their dad was the lender. And anytime a dad gets involved, it's like 90% chance the deal's going to shit because dad thinks, they're like inspector of the year. Yeah, exactly. It's just crazy.
Suddenly he's a contractor.
I have another deal. We had an accepted offer for a week now for all cash. Contracts are out. And this other buyer just wouldn't give up and actually he couldn't accept that he had a worser offer with worse terms, and he actually went to the homeowner's house, knocked on the door, and had an hour-long conversation with the homeowner. Then I had to then talk to him and the homeowner, and he actually improved his terms to the point where now we're accepting his offer. But it's just every deal is just hanging out there for a long time. It's just getting very crazy. It's got to calm down. This type of pace can't keep up. It's going to start. People are going to start just getting fatigued.
Well, you know, I have an article in here that we're going to go over later that says that that's not the case. This is not going to slow down anytime soon. There's just not enough housing. There's a shortage of housing, and what this is creating is it's creating an affordability crisis. You know,
but buyers can afford. Buyers are putting in over-ask offers.
Well, that's
regularly.
And
listing prices are starting high.
I know, but it can't happen forever unless the banks just start giving away free money, which is pretty much where we're at this point. So what is the the catalyst that changes it? That's what I sit here and ponder every day is, because to be honest with you, I'd prefer a looser market. I think the market that we're in as a real estate agent, you know, when you get something, it's sold. So everyone calls it a good market, but is it really a good market? There's not that much going around with regards to business. There's no buckets you could reach into today to generate business because they're everything that's coming up is being sold. So you're marketing and soliciting to basically a blind crowd of people, hoping that one wants to sell. So what flips this though? Like what changes it? And my hope is it's the mortgage moratorium thing, but you know, we've got a guy in office that it likely is going to keep kicking that down the road or find some way to protect the tenant instead of the landlord. I mean, it's a weird time, man.
I think it changes slowly. I don't know if it changes quickly. I mean, so you have the only abrupt shifts in the market happen like with the pandemic or like the mortgage crisis of '08. Otherwise, the housing market is usually something where it's much more gradual. It's a much more gradual incline and decline. You know, so the mortgage moratorium would be something that could cause an abrupt change. Because if you had all of a sudden, how was it, 70,000 homes in Long Island are in forbearance?
That's the last statistic that I
right.
heard.
So if you have 70,000.
Now, there's on Long Island, I don't know about Nassau and Suffolk County, but it used to be in the whole MLS, which included Queens. I think there was 25,000 transactions per year. So if you remove Queens, let's just say hypothetically, it's like 18,000 transactions.
Yeah, I think there's 20,000 in Long Island.
So let's say
that includes Queens.
That might include Queens.
Not all of Queens though, because all that's not going to be on the MLS.
So let's just say hypothetically, there's 20,000 transactions. If you were to dump even 40,000, which is half of what they think is out there, onto the market, that's 2 years of inventory. That would flip the market.
Right, but I don't think that
everything.
That's not going to happen anytime soon.
Well, my thing is they like an abrupt change like that, they won't allow to happen. Someone will step in. They'll start cutting checks to homeowners and landlords and renters, and
the banks just won't. They won't just release. Say that did happen. Say out of the 70,000, 40,000 people actually foreclosed on the home. I would think the banks aren't just going to let all that inventory hit the market because they're going to know, you know, they're going to have to. Yeah, they're going to have to. Well, they're going to have to, because otherwise, they're going to.
They don't want assets on their books.
Well, not assets. They'd be losses. They'd be writing them off.
So, well, not if you could
so
sell.
Listen,
them.
I have 40,000 homes that I need to sell because they foreclosed. I mean, if you dump all 40,000 on the market, you're going to be getting 50 cents on the dollar, right? So you got to do it slowly or something.
How do you release 40,000 homes slowly and sell them all off?
I don't know. Well, it's also, is that actually likely to happen?
You know what you can do is you could sell them to an investor at a discount.
Right.
All of them.
Like a hedge fund or something could buy them.
And that hedge fund could buy them and then mark them up and make, the spread. If the bank sold them to the hedge fund guy at, a 50% off discount, and that guy turned around and marked them up 20% from what he bought it for and sold it, he's making money. A lot of money.
Maybe the government steps in, buys them. They're being like another bailout. Well, that's what happened. How many foreclosed homes hit the market in 08, I wonder?
A lot. But no one had equity back then. Now they're claiming everyone has equity.
Right, but people, even though they have equity, they're just stopping to pay their mortgage.
Right.
I mean, they're in forbearance. You think all 70,000 in forbearance don't have equity in the home? I don't know. Who knows?
Well, here's the thing. The market is still going up. So property values are appreciating. If you bought your house a year ago and you bought your house at 100% financing, you have now, you have made 15% on your money at least.
Right, but most people are putting 20% plus down anyway.
Right, so they're at like 60. I don't know, man. It's a weird time. It's got to turn the other way. It's got to turn the other way.
But like you said, there's no end in sight.
Not at all. Not at all. So let me ask you this. Do you think from a real estate agent's standpoint that where we stand right now, does it get more difficult?
Yes.
Or does it get easier to make a living in this business?
More difficult. I think it's more difficult. More difficult until 6 months after it starts to open up. Because 6 months after it starts to open up, that's when you'll start seeing the expireds. Until then, you got to find, quote unquote, like fresh meat, like houses that haven't hit the market before. Mm-hmm. And that requires...
That's hard, man.
That requires like...
That's the hardest pillar to go after in real estate.
I'm going to call it farming in the sense that, you have to... Those are leads that have to be developed over time.
Yep.
They're developed over the course of probably on average like 6 months. So you're calling people today hoping to find someone that you can sell their house in 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it stays harder until 6 months after inventory starts to pick up. Because then you'll be able to get, in addition to all that farming that you've done, you'll have the expireds, which is, quote unquote, the low-hanging fruit.
Yes. The expired, yeah. Well, we're gonna have a different set of problems then. At that point, we're gonna have a set of problems where sellers think their house is worth a lot more than it actually is.
Right.
That's always it, right? Like after the market corrects a little bit, you have an issue where you think a house is worth a lot more than it currently is because the market's corrected. Those are the people that hold on too long, right?
Well, those are all the expireds.
Those are yes, 100%. Interesting.
I think for the other thing though is just the affordability issue has like a snowball effect in the sense that a lot of people they aren't downsizing. You have the baby boomer generation who's just not downsizing because it doesn't make financial sense to. Because, what they have to buy for, they might as well just stay.
Or not even that. They don't know where to go. That's the biggest thing that I'm hearing. You know how many times, we talk to people every day and they want to sell, but they have no idea where to go?
Right. Yeah.
And whatever they buy is less for more?
Yes.
It's
all, even people who are going to Florida, like Florida.
That's an inflated market.
That's an inflated market.
It's got to be.
And I read something today that I didn't know this, but the average insurance, just property insurance in Florida, on average is like $4,000. There's some properties that paid like $10,000 or $9,000 a year in just their premium to have homeowners insurance.
Is it because the water
I think
high?
with the floods, a lot of the insurance companies that insure in that geography, their debt burdens are so high that a lot of the companies aren't even insuring there. So the ones that are have crazy premiums.
Interesting.
So you look at the taxes, right? So like, taxes in New York are so much higher, but they don't realize like there's got to be other costs. I mean, I think still from a financial standpoint, which is income tax and everything like that. Florida is advantageous, but there's so many variables.
Well, they say Florida is going to be underwater, right? In like 20 years or something
Right.
like that.
Right.
I mean, isn't Miami or like South Beach? It's like under sea level.
Yep. And then you have all these areas. You have a huge influx of people. I was reading also like Montana, like Florida's the same thing, but Montana, like these small Montana towns, you have all these people moving to, and they just don't have the infrastructure to support it. Like their hospitals there can't support it. The police force there isn't big enough to support it. Like, you're just creating these problems because you have masses of people moving to areas
that's interesting. I didn't realize that. So that's happening?
Yeah, think about like anywhere. I mean, yes, they just can't support the influx of people. So what are they doing? So to support it, they have to raise funds. How do they raise funds? They raise taxes. They raise taxes to build more hospitals, hire more police officers, do all this other stuff.
Do you think that's going to happen in Florida?
Yes, 100%. It's cyclical. Like, does it happen to the point where, like Florida ends up like New York? And no, I'm not saying that. But yeah, I mean, listen, to support that many people, you're going to have to build out the infrastructure.
Let's look at the capital gains. This was a big thing in the news, and probably the most important thing as it pertains to real estate. Capital gains tax, Biden. All right.
But that's only it's going to affect people. I think it's over $1 million, income over $1 million.
No, that's not how it works. Not as I heard. President Joe Biden expected to propose raising the top federal tax on long-term capital gains to 39.6% from 20%.
For everyone or just
for everyone?
Certain tax bracket.
It would apply to millionaires, which is basically everyone in New York. Okay.
Just apply to millionaires.
So here's the deal. We get a listing, $7 million. You sell it for $7 million. The cost basis that they could prove on that listing is $5 million. They're a married couple, so then they get a $500,000 exemption on top of that.
Mm-hmm.
The remaining 1.5 is subject to a 39.6 capital gains tax.
Right.
And I think in the city, there's another tax that piles onto that, which puts it in the 50s, right? I think they were saying like, based on Biden's plan, it's like a 50-something percent.
Yeah, like the highest tax bracket. Yeah.
So then you walk away with $750 above that $5.5 million cost basis. Is that sick?
That's sick. So I heard, right?
So if you're a wealthy person, are you going to, sell your house? Is that going to hinder you? Is that going to prevent you from selling your home?
This is then, right, a potential avenue. So someone who's got $5 million in assets, whatever it is, they're not going to sell it. This is what they're going to do. Mm-hmm. They're going to borrow against it. So they go to the bank, they take out a loan for $3 million at some stupid low interest rate, right? Mm-hmm. Whatever an interest rate is right now, 3% or something. And they put that asset, that house or whatever it is, up as collateral. Mm-hmm. So now they just got themselves a $3 million loan, put their $5 million asset up as collateral. Their $3 million loan is like basically free money because the interest rate's so low, and they go put that money to work for them.
Yeah, but the house doesn't move.
They don't need it to move. It's just there as collateral to get more cash to go buy more assets. Mm-hmm. Which also, that could also then you're talking about that supply demand thing. What, people just aren't going to sell. It's going to cause inventory to be even lower. Why would I sell? So if I have a $5 million house, I could sell it and pay, 30% or whatever it was the number. What's capital gains tax?
It was 20. It's proposed to go to 39.6.
All right. So you have a $5 million house. I say, Ron, if you sell it, you have to pay, what was the number? To 30?
To 39.6.
So 39.6% capital gains on the sale, or you can go to the bank, take out a $3 million loan, whatever, $2 million loan, put the house up as collateral, and invest that $2 million into something else. You can go build, or you can go put it in the market, and you have a 3% interest rate. It's basically like free money. They're just not going to sell. They'll just borrow against it. And you can rent the house out if you want. Right?
Now, what does that do to the stock market, too?
Well, you put the money in the stock market.
I think people, you're going to see, I think you're going to see a lot of people pull their money out of the market before the end of the year. That's going to be the game. That's going to be what's going to happen.
See, what I'm saying is the wealthy won't. They'll just leave it there, and they're not going to cash out. They're going to borrow against it. So instead of cashing it out, they'll just borrow against it, which is it's essentially they're getting their money anyway, and they're moving it to other investments.
Yeah.
It's going to be all the normal people who don't know what the hell they're doing. Like Bitcoin dropped.
Hopefully the 250 and the 500 cover normal people.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Now, how many normal people are making more than $500,000 on a sale of a home?
Right, so that's what I'm saying. It's not even going to affect normal people. But like, all right, let's take Bitcoin was at $60,000 a coin last week.
Where is it right now? It fell down to 49.
I think it's back up above 50. But this news was announced, and Bitcoin dropped below 50,000. Mm-hmm. Right now, is that because you have tons of millionaires, holding Bitcoin, or because you have all amateurs, who don't know what they're doing, reacting to news in the market?
For Bitcoin to fall $10,000, you know how much volume's got to leave Bitcoin?
A lot.
A lot of money's got to leave that investment for it to fall. That's what, 20% it fell pretty much? Went from 63 to 49.
Yeah. Right.
So for something like that to happen, it's in the billions that flowed out of Bitcoin.
It's a lot of money.
Yeah. And it's probably a whale because smart people sell on that kind of news. Smart people with a lot of money. It's not your regular Joe who is sitting there and is watching Fox News and they report that Joe Biden's raising the capital gains to 40. They don't even know what capital gains are.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And will it be retroactive? Will it go back?
That would be criminal.
Making it retroactive?
Yeah, people would be.
So if they made it retroactive and it went back to...
No, you can't do that because how would people pay for it? Because they're not... Because say I was a millionaire and I sold a bunch of stuff and I accounted for taxes that exist, right?
Mm-hmm.
But all of a sudden you make it retroactive and I owe more taxes than I thought, but I might have already spent the money. I mean, you'd be completely fucking people.
Yeah. No, I hear you.
You can't just add an expense after the fact.
I don't know. So you hear what California's doing.
What are they doing?
They're going back like 5 or 10 years and taxing the people who were residents who left the state.
How can they do that legally, though? I mean,
I know that they were trying to do that.
There's no
know
way
if they can. Pull that off. But like, for instance, like a Joe Rogan or an Elon Musk who left.
They're going to try and go after them.
They're trying to go after them.
They're not going to win that, though. Because those people have resources to hire attorneys. And you can't just retroactively tax someone.
They're trying to do it. That was in the news.
Right. They can try and do anything they want.
Ago. Let's see. Hold on. California retroactive tax. There you go. AB 1253 would have increased California's highest income tax rate to 13.3% income. Hold on. Retroactive. Yeah, it was proposed. I don't think it was passed. It was proposed.
Is California like seriously just trying to get everyone to leave their state?
There's a lot of people that stay, man.
It's really incredible what's going on there.
Yeah.
Did you see the homeless situation?
Yeah, it's getting really bad. So Patrick Bet-David, who runs the Valuetainment podcast, posted a video. Mm-hmm. I think I forwarded it to you and the guys on Instagram. Venice Beach. There's like homeless people beating the shit out of each other on drugs on like the boardwalk right on the beach.
Yeah, Venice Beach boardwalk.
And it used to be like the place to be. Like clean, beautiful people, very wealthy area, and now it's like run down to shit.
California's fucked. I don't see how they come back from
I haven't been there. My buddy Fish has been there. He was there, I'd say 6 months ago, and he said it's an absolute disaster.
How's he doing with the corona?
He's fine. Beat it. All good. You know, most unhealthy guy I know.
Doesn't that kind of annoy you? Your guy's just like...
No, it's hysterical if you ask me. It's what would happen. I mean, come on. It's so typical of him to get the worst virus man has ever known and just smoke it. No problem. You know what I mean?
But like not even take it seriously. Like you got it. You started taking like the vitamins, the vitamin D, all that stuff. Like he gets it. He's like, all right, you start drinking more beer and whatever.
The best thing ever was the night before we did the Spartan race. I FaceTimed him. He picks up his FaceTime. He's slamming Coronas and eating hot wings.
Right. Right. Yeah.
And then he gets on that course the next day. And
he did it.
Did just as good as me.
I know.
It's the best. He's the best. It's stuff like that, though, that I love. I love stuff like that. It makes me laugh. Complete train wreck. And he's just okay. Just turns around and goes.
Well, that begs the question. Like, why try so hard? Why take life so seriously anyway?
Dude, I guess listen, is there science that says that this is the probability that if you live your life healthy, you're going to live a longer life? Sure. Mm-hmm. But, is it guaranteed? I guess not. You know what I mean?
Of course it's not guaranteed.
And there's some people that could there's people that smoke and live until they're 98 years old.
That's why the balance is so important.
I don't get it.
You can't take it too seriously because you could still just bad luck.
Yeah. I mean, I think you have to do like 85% of the work. You got to eat right, drink water, exercise 5 times a week.
Water's a big one.
Definitely a big one. Definitely big. I don't drink enough water. I drink a lot of coffee. But coffee is water.
No, it's not the same. I think water, that's something, if you drink a lot of water, there's like more and more like I even think like Tom Brady, just elite athlete.
You could overdo water though.
Right. But
the UFC guys, speaking of UFC, did you see Chris Weidman snap his leg in half?
Yes.
That was fucking gruesome.
Yeah.
I mean, he goes out there, he throws one kick,
just
and his tibia and fibia snapped in half, and his foot wrapped around the guy's leg.
Yeah, he's fucked. You don't come back from that, right?
I don't think so, man. I think he's retired.
The recovery alone I didn't even know he was still fighting.
It's like an 18.
Is he a good fighter?
He's a very good fighter. It's like an 18 to 24 month recovery.
Yeah, because they're gonna have to. The bone's probably shattered. They probably have to go in there and like fucking.
So they cut your knee open. Right? They cut your knee down. They lay your knee in like what do they call those things? It's like a stirrup. Is that what they call it?
Yeah, stirrup.
They lay your knee in like a stirrup. They cut right down the middle of the knee. They open you up. Then where your patella is broken, they somehow go in and fire. They like drill it out on both sides, and they put a rod in that connects both sides of the patella. And then the other bone, whatever the name is, just falls into place. And maybe they plate it with some screws. There's a rod in his big bone, like his shin, that's connecting both bones, and it pins and shit, and it's just he's gonna have to learn to walk again. He's a professional athlete. He's gonna have to learn to walk again.
Right? Because how?
That's one thing about that sport, man. Like, your body takes a fucking beating. Beating.
Yeah. Just the head trauma alone.
The head trauma. I mean, listen. By the time those guys are 45 to 50. I can almost guarantee they're in pain every day.
Well, a lot of the elite ones now don't even like spar. I hear like they don't even the only physical contact they have is the fight itself.
So Max Holloway, who just put on, I'd say like 3 months ago, he put on the best performance of his career. And he lit his opponent up like something like 350 strikes to like 10. It was a master class in striking, and he didn't spar once for the fight.
Right, because he doesn't. Because why put your body through the beating?
Yeah, and I guess maybe that worked for him. Doesn't work for everybody though. Most guys are just beating the shit out of each other, bro science.
Right.
In the gym every day. But dude, they're actually saying that the UFC is like one of the fastest growing sports.
Oh, I'm sure.
It's the one of the fastest growing sports, period. And they're saying that like the NBA, Major League Baseball, they're all losing viewership.
Well, because everyone's making political statements.
Well,
The UFC is just...
it's that, but think about it. And I was actually listening to Dave Portnoy talk about this. He was talking about it with Ben Shapiro. He was just on Ben Shapiro's show. It's actually fascinating. Have you ever heard about how they started Barstool?
Yeah. I mean,
It was a newspaper.
Yeah.
And he used to actually wake up at 4 a.m. and go stand on the train platforms and hand it out to people. Fantastic. But they were talking about it, and they were saying, like, kids today are more interested in esports than sports. So you're going to see, as, like, our generation grows old and dies, it's going to get replaced with people that are not necessarily 100% interested in America's traditional pastimes. So, like, my kids, maybe instead of watching the Chiefs play the Jets, are going to be interested in the esports Chiefs playing the esports Jets.
That's crazy.
One day. So the fan base for these sports is going to shrink while it grows in other places.
I don't know. I mean, my kids play sports, like, but they're both in baseball and soccer. And then the leagues are bigger than ever.
My daughter, you can't peel her off of that iPad. Like,
right.
She plays Roblox, which is basically like, it's like an RPG. You have a character, and the character has to do things. And she plays with her friends. Like, they voice chat while they play.
Right.
And she's 6.
Right.
That did not exist when we were 6.
No.
It existed with like Quake and Doom, but very, very few people play that today.
Well, technology is much more mainstream, much easier to use.
Yeah.
Like, you had to be, back then, you kind of had to be a computer geek to even do that.
Exactly. You had to understand what like a local area network was. You had to connect to somebody's modem.
Right.
Like, that shit was hard to do back then.
Now you just have an iPad.
It's very easy now. Now you just have the iPad, you have the app, boom, you click it, you're in,
right.
You have friends, you talk to your friends, etc. All right, let's get to the news. This is interesting. Builders add escalation clauses to offset lumber prices.
Yeah.
So as builders are building homes, and if you get into contract with a builder, they have the right to raise the actual sale price on the house between the time you go into contract and close.
Right.
Now imagine we actually have hyperinflation, and you're in contract on a home, and while you're in contract on a home, the house goes from being worth $900,000 to like 1.3. Is that a possibility? Is that something that could happen?
I mean, there's probably escalation clauses, but probably to a certain extent.
All right, let's read this. The rising volatile costs of lumber continue to hamper the new home and remodeling markets. Lumber prices nearly doubled over a 4-month period in 2020 and have continued to reach new highs. 47% of builders said they were including price escalation clauses in their sales contracts. That's a lot.
I wonder if just the labor if the lumber nowadays just is not as high a quality. Like the lumber used back in like the 60s was much more mature. The trees had time to grow and harden. Nowadays, it's like you have these young, soft trees being used in construction. I wonder if you're going to start to see like a lot of the houses built recently just not stand the test of time.
I don't know. But that's interesting. It's something that if I were a buyer, I'd be a little worried about. Trees. This is interesting. Trees. Off topic, but trees. What's the most you would ever pay for a tree?
A tree? Like what kind of tree?
A tree. A decorative tree on your property.
Oh, I don't know. $1,000?
Okay.
I mean, like, I'm not.
So in the Hamptons, they're paying 6 figures for trees.
Yeah.
Sometimes
like
more.
A big tree.
So a tree, a trophy tree has become a new status symbol for wealthy homeowners. The Wall Street Journal reports landscape architects say that a big tree has become analogous to a piece of artwork because their eager new luxury home buyers may not be willing to wait years to grow a lush canopy from a large tree. They're hiring tree brokers who knew that they existed to find and relocate attractive trees onto their properties.
Right.
A CRE recently gave to a client an estimate of $250,000 to move a tree.
Yeah. I mean, that's someone who's got the money, whatever. Most people are just not, they're just going to plant a normal tree.
That's fucking nuts.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. That's a lot of money.
Yes.
Mortgage rates back under 3%. This is good. I think mortgage rates are important moving forward. And they're important because the value of homes are going up so much that if the value of a home went up so much and materials are going up so much, if interest rates rise with those values, then that puts more of a stress on the affordability issue.
Right.
So if interest rates go down, that's good. It's good for everybody. The 30-year fixed mortgage rate averaged 2.97 this week. The 30-year fixed rate mortgage is 2.97. 15 is 2.29. And a 5-year hybrid adjustable rate mortgages average 2.83. So all that is good. Buyers are undeterred by home prices. This goes back to what we were saying before. Buyers apparently don't seem to give a shit that the market is on fire and they are seemingly overpaying for things. They're just going for it. The median existing home sales price surged to a record high in March, climbing 17.2% annually. The National Association of Realtors reported Thursday median prices nationwide reached a historic high of $329,100. All major regions of the U.S. posted double-digit annual price gains. That's fucking
crazy.
sick.
It's crazy.
Consumers are facing a much higher home prices, rising mortgage rates, and falling affordability, which is what we just discussed. However, buyers are still actively in the market. Sales year over year, however, are still up 12.3%. NAR reports sales for March would have been measurably higher had there been more inventory.
Right.
Right? Which is what we talk about too. Days on market are swift. Multiple offers are prevalent, and buyer confidence is still rising. I don't know what's gonna turn that around, but that's interesting.
I don't think there's anything in sight right now that turns this market around.
No. And how about this? $1 million home sales outpace those at other price points.
Right. We were talking about this recently.
So luxury, right? $1 million listings are a hot commodity. The number of homes sold for more than 1 million jumped by 81% in February compared to a year earlier.
Right.
Meanwhile, the number of homes sold for under 100,000 dropped 26% compared to a year ago. That's probably because there are no $100,000 homes anymore, according to the data from National Association of Realtors. The Midwest saw volume of homes sold above 1 million double from February of this year compared to last year. The Northeast saw a 98% increase, and the South posted a 94% increase. So luxury is doing very good right now. Housing providers struggle under the eviction moratorium. See, this is where this eviction moratorium kind of, pisses me off a little bit. I understand a tenant deserves, or a homeowner who lives in a house and can't pay the rent deserves some kind of relief given the pandemic.
Right.
Right? But how long do you give them relief for? And who is standing up for the bank?
Well, the taxpayers are going to bail them out.
Right. But what I'm saying is it's really not happening yet. And there's people that are struggling that own an investment property and have some asshole in there.
They still have to make their payments.
Yeah.
Right.
The moratorium has since been extended through July 30th. The CDC order is, what was interesting about that? It's just the CDC ordered that. Did you know that?
Yeah, it's crazy.
I didn't know that the CDC could do that.
This is what happens when government gets involved. Just stay out. Just leave it as a free market. Stay out of it.
Did you know, though, that the CDC could do that? You would think that would be like, I don't know,
no one should be able to do it.
No, but what was Ben Carson? He was the Secretary of Housing
and Development.
Yeah, I can see that guy being able to pull that lever, but the CDC?
I guess because they have executive powers when there's a pandemic that they can start.
I guess.
Going around.
The moratorium has since been extended through June 30th. The CDC order prohibits housing providers from evicting tenants for non-payment of rent. if the tenant submits a written declaration that they are unable to afford full rental payment. Nearly 9 million households, that's fucking crazy. Nearly 9 million households are reportedly behind on their rental payments, according to data from the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau.
That's a rental. So that's
and then there's I think the number is, and I could be wrong, 2.5 million in mortgage forbearance.
right.
This Monday, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau furthered its protections of tenants by announcing an interim rule stating that property owners using debt collectors and those engaging in eviction proceedings on their behalf, including the attorneys, who wrongfully evict tenants could face federal and state prosecution, as well as private lawsuits by individuals negatively impacted. So basically, if you motion to get rid of people, you may end up in jail.
Just so that you can pay your own debts.
That's fucking nuts. Over 50% of the nation's rental housing providers are mom and pop owners who rely on their few units as their only source of income. Reserves are running out, and in many cases are exhausted.
Right.
I don't understand all that. That's crazy. Who in their right mind would want to buy property right now and rent it?
I would.
I mean, I'd be a little afraid to, though.
Well, I mean, you got to make sure you get a good tenant.
Yeah, okay. You get well, I've also heard stories of people who could have sworn that the tenant was a AAA tenant, and the next thing you know, they're fucking shoving it up their ass. You know what I mean? Like,
there's a risk. I think most people who are behind actually can't afford it. There are people taking advantage, but I think the majority are not.
This is interesting, and this is crazy. The pros and cons of a kick-out clause.
What is that?
Ready? In this red-hot housing market, some sellers may be tempted to add a kick-out clause when countering an offer on their home.
Mm-hmm.
This type of contingency in a purchase agreement would allow a seller to continue to market their home even after they've accepted an offer. Buyers may want to proactively add this clause to their offer in order to make it more enticing. I think this means like after you go into contract, you could still market your home.
But why would any buyer accept that?
Apparently it's happening.
I guess they have no choice because of such a strong seller's market.
Listen, this is a quote from a Keller Williams real estate agent, I believe. Every contract we negotiate where a buyer has to sell a property or purchase a property will have a kick-out clause or a contingency offer. Ramona Williams, a real estate professional at Keller Williams Partners in Colorado Springs, told Clever in a recent article. The kick-out clause is used in both a buyer's and seller's market. Redfin notes at its blog about the pros and cons of clauses. A kick-out clause ensures that a seller is not stuck in a drawn-out home sale in a buyer's market. It keeps the buyer from having to carry two mortgages if they have trouble selling their home.
Right.
So, I mean, that's pretty nuts.
I mean, I guess it makes sense. I understand that.
Yeah. Summer vacation rentals skyrocketing. I just saw an article that a place in the Hamptons was rented for $2 million for a month.
Which is crazy. What is that house?
$2 million for a month. I don't know.
Who's renting it?
Who's spending $2 million on a 1 month rental?
It's a lot of money. That's got to be an amazing house.
Yeah, I think it's in Sagaponack.
It's got to be like one of the nicest houses in the Hamptons.
Easily. Or maybe that happens all the time. We just don't know it.
Right. I mean, how many homes are that nice that they can warrant a monthly rental of $2 million?
No idea, man. No idea. All right, my man. We are at 1 hour.
All right.
As per usual.
Mm-hmm.
3 straight weeks.
Yep.
And running. Kind of like Bobby Barnes on that Peloton. Got anything else to say before we get out of here or what?
No.
All right. Well, thank you, everybody, for listening to the Pesce Lanzillotta Team Podcast. Our phone number is 516-888-9711. Our email is info@pl-team.com. Give us a call, write us if you want to join our team. We're always recruiting. Our website is www.pl-team.com, and we will see you next week.